Hello, and in today's video we're going to be looking at a Steam Deck. It's something that's been getting people quite excited. A lot of people question, do you really want one? Surely you're better off with a desktop PC, but hey, this is a portable. Although it is quite large, as you can see, it's good 2 hand spans wide. But yeah, it's actually really nicely done. Now this is my first experience of having one, so this is an unboxing video really. So you open it up, you get a little instruction sheet with very basic ideas of what to do, including a micro SD card indicator, which is the main way I'm going to be using this, because this is the cheapest chips edition. So it's got a power supply and the main unit in its own case, which is, decent. I wouldn't call it amazing, but not bad for free. And here it is. As you can see, it's rather smart. It's got this lovely valve tag that I would have liked to have kept, but it's sort of sealing the zips together, and you're going to have to cut it. It's not something you can just undo, so that was a bit of a shame. And then you've got a very sticky bit of plastic, which I think I ended up just cutting with a blade or a pair of scissors. I can't remember now. But yeah, it's a USB-C charger. And as you can see, it's not exactly the smallest of devices. And it's got your connector on the end. So just make sure you can see that. There you go, USB-C. And yeah, the device itself, it's fairly functional. Bit of a shiny screen, which we'll come back to. The controls all feel pretty tight, and yeah, I've found them really good in play, to be honest. As you can see, it comes in a moulded case with this weird sort of strappy thing on the back, which I don't quite see the point of. But yeah, as you can see, SD card goes in the bottom there, and then on the back you've got a vent for your heat, your triggers, and then your top triggers. So you've actually got like 6 buttons, more than that, 8 buttons on the back. Yeah, but I found it pretty good. It's got stereo sound, and the sound quality is decent. I wouldn't call it amazing, but it's pretty good. And overall, very pleased with it, apart from, as I say, the shiny screen. And I think the top of the range model comes with an anti-glare screen, but that's quite a lot of money to ask when you could just get a cover to go on it. So when you get it, obviously you have to charge it up and install a whole load of updates. So we will be looking at that very shortly. But the first impressions are that this is a pretty good device, and it's not going to compete with modern computers, but an old computer like mine that's 5-6 years old, possibly 10 years old actually, this thing is pretty powerful and can keep up with them. Now obviously it does cheat a bit because the screen's fairly low res, but it looks good, and yeah, I've been very pleased with the couple of weeks I've had with it since this unboxing video was actually filmed. So when you turn it on, you get this nice little logo, and when you actually power it up properly, you get this sort of like bing noise, and it's a nice sort of user experience. Now on the top here, as you can see, you've got all your buttons and some vents and your power connector. So you've got your vent, your audio out, your volume controls, and then over here all your power stuff, so the cable, the LED, and the power button. And that power button has been giving me a bit of grief. The SD card goes in the bottom, roughly where my thumb is, and you've got to be very careful to remove that. But the screen is way too glossy. So anyway, let's power it up properly. And unfortunately, you've lost the original audio of it going bing, but you get this lovely ping effect and a bit of animation, and then this welcome screen pops up, and you select your language, you select your time zone, and then you get a list of Wi-Fi devices, which you will then connect to. Then you can actually finally set up your Steam account and start downloading all the updates and your games and everything. So we connect up to a Wi-Fi, and then that says, yeah, that's all done. And then the inevitable setting up the device and downloading updates. And this can take a while. For example, for the 1 terabyte SD card I've got fitted, by the time I'd done all my games and everything, it was probably a good 24 hours from powering it on to having everything installed and ready to go. There have been some updates since, updating the rendering engine and stuff like that. And overall, I've been really, really impressed, apart from the power socket problem. Now, I have read a few people having problems with their Steam Decks getting it actually to power on. And unfortunately, I might have that, because I had trouble initially with powering it on, but I figured it was just because it was low battery. But I've had about 3 or 4 occasions where I just couldn't turn it on for ages. And just today, it took about 6 hours from trying to turn on till I actually did get it to turn on. Now, I think that might be because I did a full power down rather than just let it go to sleep, because when you just let it go to sleep, you just press the power button, it seems to wake up instantly. So I'm not sure if it's a software glitch, a button glitch, or whatever. But yeah, it's one of those things. Now, the battery lasts a decent amount of time. I would like more battery, but I can live with the battery it came with, but a bit more would be nice. So for version 2 of the Steam Deck, obviously slightly better thumbsticks. There are some third-party ones you can buy, slightly bigger power supply, definitely a matte screen, and I think they do need to provide you with a slightly bigger internal memory storage, because as you will see later in this video, it doesn't take up a huge amount of space just for Steam, but by the time you've installed a couple of other bits, particularly if you do desktop mode and install things like LibreOffice and stuff like that, that's going to gobble up your internal storage really, really quick. So at some stage in the future, I am going to have to upgrade this with a matte screen protector and a larger internal storage drive. But a 512 gig would be more than enough for me to install all the stuff I want to use for the desktop mode, a couple of upgrades like the Proton Experimental thing, RetroArch, maybe transfer some of the games off the SD card into the internal storage, because they're sort of games I really want to play often, and then the freed up storage space on my SD card would either be for extra games or to put like ROMs on for RetroArch. So yeah, really impressive bit of kit. Downsides, as I say, battery life could be longer. The screen's way, way, way too glossy, as you can see here. But having said that, it looks really good in the right environment. So if you're in a darkish room, the gloss gives you that lovely deep colour. And because it's a low-res picture, they're doing all sorts of jiggery-pokery in the background that makes it look really good. I've been playing Cyberpunk a lot on this. In fact, I played it so much I think I overheated my deck, and I had to stop playing it for about an hour to let it cool down. I can't remember now, but I at the time I think I'd logged something like 17 hours of playtime, and maybe it was 6-7 hours of play, and it went, yeah, I'm going to crash now. So that's pretty impressive. You know, Cyberpunk's really challenging, and a lot of modern desktops struggle, and yet they managed to get it working on the Steam Deck pretty well. And got to remember, this is a Linux device, it's not Windows, so it's running a load of Windows games via Proton and SteamOS, and really, really impressive. And I knew Linux was capable of it because I did have my desktop set up as Linux. But yeah, it works really, really well on this, and it does make me very excited for you know, what they might do next, and also for my new desktop, which I'm hopefully going to be able to buy now prices have returned to normal. And I'm thinking of going Team AMD because of their support for Linux. So as you can see here, this is the storage before the memory card turned up. It turned up about 2 hours after I filmed this, and as I say, it then took me about 24 hours to get all the games installed. And yeah, very impressed. I might do another video on Steam Deck later. So until the next video, you know what I say, happy gaming.